Hello world and welcome to I Can See the Future. Teresa and I are here with our second video, and this one is going to be all about the process of logo design and starting our wireframing for the idea that we picked in the first video of the month. And so just to recap, that was Roulette Your Wedding. That was the idea we decided to go with, which will be an app that essentially lets you enter in some information about yourself and will give you back a sort of quick roulette style wedding, wedding like choices for things like your dress and I don't know, all of the things involved in a wedding. So yeah, Teresa worked on the logo design for this, and I have some of what she did up here on the screen. So yeah, Teresa, do you want to start kind of talking about your process and how you got to here?
Yeah, sure. So I really just started like bare bones and looked up, a roulette table just to refresh to know like what that looks like. And then that didn't really give me much because I don't know if you guys know what a roulette table looks like, but it's they're usually like green and red and like just not very aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
So what I did was I wanted to somehow capture visually that kind of scatteredness, randomness that roulette makes you feel.
Right.
And so how I started to explore that was I knew that I wanted visually to have that feeling. And so then I also knew that I would maybe want to play with objects and a little bit of illustration. And I didn't want it to be just text-based because I want it to be like very appealing when you open it.
Right.
And so I just took little aspects of things that you would expect to have in a wedding. Your ring, different foliage, wedding cake, and just made those little like accents and really just played with placement for a while. This, I would say, is about an hour's worth of exploration. I'm sure that this would change if I worked on it some more.
Yeah.
But if you see right below me, the one that says the splash page that says roulette with the objects really big, that was my original concept.
Mm-hmm.
And by accident, when I grouped all of those illustrations into a folder, I accidentally minimized it a little bit. And I was like, oh, like that's kind of interesting. So I really brought it in. And so the final one is on the left with all the illustrations in the middle, like smaller. And I thought that this worked better conceptually because you really see all the items that you would be playing roulette with versus the other one is more, since the objects are so big, it's more like an illustrative statement, I think.
Yeah.
So I thought the left one worked better.
Yeah.
So from there, I knew we also needed an icon and a logo for this app. And so I was really trying to think how to simplify the splash page idea onto a logo. And so the very bottom logo is just like a copy of the left, where I just use the text and I played around with the color. And we were looking at this right before we were filming, and I think one update that I definitely would want to make is to make the colors of the text more like cohesive with the splash page so that they're like exactly the same color concept. And then the last logo I did was the one with just like a simple R. Like if we really had to have it be that simple, like what would it look like? And so that's just like a simple one with also the same kind of like color scheme as the one below it.
Yeah.
So this is about like an hour's worth of exploration of just like initial ideas of the like look and feel of this app.
Yeah. I think it's really awesome. Good direction. I feel like the thing that is really interesting about the splash page, that you kind of started with, um, is these illustrations and like how they're kind of soft almost too, your color choice in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I think if that was applied, like there's something more organic and kind of like casual feeling about this. Whereas
Yeah.
like the R here um, feels very intense, right? And it's like sort of the opposite of the feeling you get here. But I wonder if it's the matter, like just like kind of playing with this idea of this kind of hand done illustration
Yeah.
element. But overall, actually really just like the roulette kind of all scattered feeling like you're throwing dice down or something,
Yeah.
right? Something like that feeling that you get from it, and the reality of what we'll be kind of doing, at least for this project. And as far as like you're saying, if this is an hour of exploration, imagine if you were doing this project completely out, like how deep would you go into those explorations? But just for the purpose of what we are going to be creating, I think that this splash page is perfect for to kind of play off of, and we can even just grab elements from this for any sort of icon or like logo that we might need. So yeah, I think this is really fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that you would say about the process that you like? What tools did you use to make this?
This was all Photoshop. I just painted those objects. Yeah, it's just all Photoshop.
Cool.
Anything else about this process?
Did you use a mouse to draw them, or do you have a?
Oh no, I have like a pen and a pad.
Cool. Yeah. That's what I
Which
wanted, because it makes a big difference in like kind of the organic feeling of drawing, like if you're using your mouse versus like.
that makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Honestly, it makes it so much easier. I also have a Cintiq at home. It's like one of those where you can like draw on the screen. But it's just, I don't know, this is like so stupid, but I prefer to use the pad and the pen because you don't have to raise your hand.
No, like whatever is actually
You have to
like.
raise your hand and like draw on the Cintiq the whole time like this, and I think you have to really get used to that.
Yeah.
Like more old school, like pen and paper style. But yeah, those are the tools. I would be interested if I had another hour, where I would take this. But I'm happy with like I think I got like the direction right.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a good feel too. Like, I can kind of from this specific, splash page imagine the rest of like the design and the sort of feel of it. And I think it does match like who we're assuming the audience would be for this, which is somebody that is casual and does care about aesthetics, but doesn't care about like the details. It feels playful, and which does make it
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, like I said, I kind of just really quickly started just hand sketching up for wireframing, and I'm going to share that process. Let me close out of some of these. We'll keep that one open. So what I actually use when I'm just starting is literally either a piece of paper and pencil, or I also have my trusty iPad, which you can't see, but I'm holding up.
Always love. I don't know why I love like wireframe drawings.
Yeah, it's fun. Just
So
getting the feeling out. So yeah, I use this program called GoodNotes on my iPad, and then the Apple Pencil, just to start. Like anytime I need to get ideas out, like I still really like using like writing stuff. Like it's hard for me to just type everything and make it clear. So, obviously for this project we don't have like a set of requirements that are given to us, or user stories that are initially just given to us. So what I kind of decided to do for the sake of just getting it moving is work on just kind of drawing these up for what this initial like sign up flow and the first kind of jump into it might be. And so logo landing, loading right here, which would be this roulette, your wedding, maybe animated too, which would be really fun, kind of coming in. And then hitting a sign up or login. And from there, let's say we're doing sign up. Cool, what's your name? I think it'd be fun to be able to reference that. So what's your name, your email? That's all we really need to get you going with a password, right? Email and password for a login later. And then you'll hit this welcome to Roulette your wedding screen. And the thought here would be that it would, this is going a tiny bit deeper than just wireframing. Typically, the way wireframes should work is that it's just the content that's needed per screen. So that's kind of like how this is. This isn't suggesting any layout or anything. It's just sort of like the text asking for what it needs, the field, and a button, and a return button if you need to go back, right? Mm-hmm. And that means that like a designer can take the wireframes and kind of convert it into whatever they want it to look like, but it needs these things on it. So this is kind of a weird mix of going a little bit further than that, and I'm suggesting some design in here, mainly because I'm going to take these and actually convert them into templated wireframes and then into the design. But having like a little settings icon up here if you need to change any of your information. But okay, welcome to Roulette your wedding, and having it work kind of like a text, like as if you're texting back and forth with someone. So yeah. It's like, welcome to Roulette your wedding. The initial messages from us letting you know how this works essentially. And you would click this yes button at the bottom, which would then populate your response as yes. Like, did you understand it? It's like, yeah, cool, yes. And then we would just jump straight into either a visual or a text way of asking you, like, cool, so which one of these dresses do you think is the best, or like more your style or something, right? And you would select the dress you think is your style, and that would be your response back to us, right? So do that whole sort of like chat bot kind of feel.
Love that.
And once you've answered the questions, however, the handful of questions based on those categories we laid out in last week, then it would have some sort of animation kind of as it's pulling them in together, rouletting your wedding. And then it would give you a sort of fun kind of visual layout of the content. So kind of not necessarily Pinteresty because it's not all the same size, tabs, there might be different shapes in there, but like here's a shoe and here's a dress and here's a wedding venue and here's everything that you could scroll through and see. And if you clicked on any of them, it would bring you to like a link through to that actual information of like, here's the dress, click the dress, right? And I would assume there'd be which isn't here yet because I need to kind of lay it out further, but I would assume there'd be something that would let you save these. Maybe you can save, or you can refresh an item. So you're like, everything but this dress, refresh. And from there, you could kind of keep playing, and maybe it would be a matter of like bringing you back through different questions. Or my thought is it's kind of like a very simple one through. You answer based on how you feel, and then from here you would be kind of just refreshing.
Yeah.
And then, but you could essentially go back and answer completely differently if you wanted to see like what the difference between what would be more of like a desert indie wedding versus like a city something, whatever.
Yeah. So there could be like an additional option where like maybe you save a profile or something.
Right. Yeah, it's like name the wedding, right? Like you scroll down to the bottom or at the top of this, you would just click and edit and name that wedding and save it. And that would be on like a home screen, which I didn't show here. That's a part of like kind of doing this work fully and then actually laying it out in wireframes. There's a lot of screens that are missing, obviously.
Yeah.
This was just to get that idea out initially. but yeah, it would be like, okay, I'm saving this one as this name, and I can always go back to it. So here's my like home screen for when I log in that
Yeah.
has like the different saved wedding variations that I've made.
Yeah. I really love that chat like option, like the chat, like how that is laid out and how um like it'll send you those visual options and how you can actually click on them and it'll send it as an answer.
Yeah,
That's so
I think
cute.
it's simple enough, right? Like there's all these other features that we essentially could write into this, because I can imagine like, okay, this item, like a refresh on it so it brings something else in, and then maybe it's like um yeah, and then just like a link through to whatever it is. Or maybe there's like if we were really trying to make this and put it out there, maybe it's like a whole sort of package deal where we're actually selling, or we're getting affiliate somehow for the sales of everything, and
Right.
you know, some
Like
sort of
how you make
package.
money with this app if it were real.
Right. There's a lot of options. Obviously, it's like how you know, suggesting, if you're suggesting items up front, it's like those are you know, the companies would essentially pay more if their dress was promoted first or something. But that's of course turning it into like a business, and that's not even our intention with this. It's more of
Yeah.
like, let's just have fun and you know, kind of lay out what this could be like. So yeah, I think so. Next steps for me would be to continue thinking this process out, kind of make sure I've got, you know, I still need to draw out that like home kind of page of collections, how that would function a little bit clearer in here as well, like the refresh button, even just kind of indicating that. And then what I really would end up doing is going into Sketch and actually wireframing out um, in a little bit more detail, just because, you know, this first thing is just to get me kind of like going and thinking, and then I can wireframe out here. And then from this point would take any of like the actual like design files or anything that we have, graphics and colors and typography, and start to convert that into like designing the actual uh, the actual screens for each one of these that we need. I think for what we're going to do for next week, for next week's kind of final video, because of course we're trying to wrap this up so that we're starting fresh with 4 videos for next month. I think we'll end up just designing out specific screens, not the whole flow, but we'll just design out the specific screens to show on that sort of one-page site that we can throw up, to make it seem like it's a full-fledged, you know, product and app that you can download.
Just like it's like a brushstroke of like what this app would function and look like.
Right. And so I think pretty much what we need to do to kind of move forward now would be, you know, I'll keep kind of going on the wireframes, pick which ones to kind of convert into design. And then if you are just essentially giving me access to the splash page and the logos, any like color, if you want to kind of pull that out a little bit clearer, and typography, like what type choices you would say for this, knowing that it's an app, so choosing fonts there, and yeah, I don't know. I think we can kind of wrap that up and, you know, design these out, and then make that like one page for next week, and we'll kind of call this one a done deal. We do need some kind of sample. You know, this is what we were talking about in the last video, like sample items for each.
Pull assets for, I guess I'll do like 3 different like profiles.
Yeah, it's just sort of defining what that is. Like, we're saying, so what are the top 3 types of like styles that you think would go with the person that would play like roulette your wedding and actually use the answers, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like one might even be like it'd be kind of fun to do like a very kind of like a variety that's like I don't know, like as far as saying like a goth style wedding.
Yeah.
Or actually, I don't know, goth, like you might go super hardcore on like all the details and you might actually care.
You might actually care. Yeah. Our app might be too friendly for you. Or maybe not. We could go dark. We could do like, you know, um, like spiritual kind of darkness.
Oh yeah. Or no, yeah, I could. I mean, that's a great other one, right? Like a hippie vibe or some kind of like laid back like vibe. So just like choosing three user profiles, right? Like name our three users and say like this is the path they would follow through to answer. You know, if we're really stereotyping people, this is
Yeah.
exactly how they would answer, and here's some fake content so that we can kind of make up, this like fake profile. But yeah, I think if you pull that and work on the just kind of getting all those assets to me, I can kind of mock up and like lay these out, and then we can work on that little one page and kind of have
Yeah.
like a fun ending point for this first like really short project, just to like get it done and under our
I
belt.
think this is a really good choice for like just a short and sweet project. Like I think this is gonna turn out really well. It's gonna be really cute.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think that's it for this video. I think typically we'll end up having 2 videos in a month where we're going into more detail. And we may even be doing like live process. I don't know. We'll have to see, like instead of just sharing, we would kind of start doing the process of like from nothing to logo or from nothing to the wireframe and or even like if we're actually developing some things like one of those first ideas that we were talking about with I actually really want to develop the track your package one, so that could be just like a quick kind of like development tutorial type thing, or just sort of showing the process of how I'm building it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one was kind of quick, I think, but good. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
I think we're good. Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that you ever want to see, we're also in a learning process of, what kind of content is good for YouTube. So feel free to comment or ask for content from us.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right. So until next week, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.